Hey, it's your favorite mindset coach, Marissa, and I am so grateful that you are here today to join me. So, whether you are listening on my podcast, Teacher Mindset with Marissa E., or you are hanging out with me on my YouTube channel, Teacher_Mindset, you are going to get so much value. So, if you are a teacher, were a teacher, want to be a teacher, know a teacher, this is the podcast for you because what do we do here? We focus on helping teachers. That is the goal. I was a teacher. Now I'm a mindset coach for teachers. And I find people in the education space, whether they are teachers or were teachers or have some other place in the education space to help you save time, energy, practice self-love, avoid burnout, look at your worth, and just navigate regular challenges that teachers are encountering today. So I would encourage you to subscribe, especially on the podcast. Put a like in there so that we can push up in the algorithm because the higher we are, the more teachers we can help. That is my ultimate goal, is to bring love and positivity to so many teachers out there. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, then without further ado, let's get into it. Hey, teachers and parents. So in this episode, I'm so excited. We are talking to Christina Maxfield, who is a former teacher of 12 years and now helps teachers like you transition out of the classroom and into starting your own virtual assistant business. So if you have ever thought about possibly going into the virtual assistant space, then I encourage you to stay here and listen to all of the amazing things Christina has to share with you. Christina, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Marissa. I'm really, really good. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's get into it. Like, why did you actually decide to make the transition out of teaching? What was going on?
Yeah, great question. So I taught special education for 12 years, and I was one of those people growing up, like as a little girl, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I lived and breathed it. It was pretty easy for me to decide that I was going to do that and make that my career. And I loved it. Until towards the end of my 12 years, I just feel like things started to change in the education world. And when the pandemic hit in 2020, I was actually really, really happy that we were told when went on spring break that, hey, take some things with you, like we might not be coming back. And I was like, oh, awesome. Like longer break. Obviously, I was like really excited. And there was just like this big sense of relief. I remember when that happened, which sounds crazy. And that's probably when I knew like I needed a change. Like I was nervous to go back. And of course, things kept getting pushed back and we ended up not going back. And I
Yeah.
was really happy about that. Um, and so that's when I realized, I didn't want to go back to that environment. I needed a change. I couldn't finish out the rest of my career. I was 12 years in. I wasn't even really halfway through to retirement. And I just thought, I can't be unhappy like this the rest of my career because life is too short. My husband was noticing a big change in me too, in my behavior. He said, like, I became very negative and grumpy. I was just so stressed out and anxious all the time from all the pressures of just the daily demands of teaching in special education. I remember looking back now, there was a particular moment that now I know that that was a panic attack I had in my classroom.
Really?
Yeah, and then I have two kids now, but I had only one, my oldest daughter at the time. So she was about 2.5 in 2020. And I just felt like by the time I got home from work, I had no patience for my own daughter because I'd have so much patience at school. In special education, you deal with a lot of behaviors. You don't always get your planned breaks because you might have to be helping a student then. Your days has to be really flexible in special ed, and you kind of have to go with the flow, even though you have a plan. So
Were
I
there
would just,
like a lot more children coming into special ed over the years? Like if you look at like your 12-year span, right? Were there all of a sudden it's like, wow, like we're actually getting more kids than we did when I was starting out in special ed. Were there any changes like
exactly.
that?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly. I feel like my caseload, so that would be like how many kids I would have in my class, like would
Right.
be higher and higher each year. Like they
Wow.
would try to, pack them in, or just more and more kids were coming in with diagnosis from such a young age because
Yeah.
I would work with kindergarten through fifth grade. But a lot more just incoming kindergartners every year with autism or ADHD. And, I feel like those two things kind of both had their turn for being like big diagnoses
Right.
over in the US anyways.
And
Lots more.
everyone needs an IEP, right? So it's like
Everyone needs an
extra work
IEP, so you
that
have
you're
to keep
doing.
track of each child's IEP.
Right.
Each child might have anywhere. So then in my room, like I was working on kids' individual IEP goals is what I would teach to. So then that's differentiating instruction, which you want to do anyways as a teacher, but sometimes you're doing that for 10 or 12 kids. You might have a student that's doesn't know any of their letters, but then you might have a student that's maybe reading at a second or third grade level. And so you have to really do lots of planning for each specific subject to meet those kids where they're at. And kids could have anywhere from 3 goals to 10 IEP goals. So that was a lot as well. And so I never knew what the week would look like or if I would get my specific plan time. So I would often spend a lot of time on Sundays planning, which I know is not great. And that probably contributed to some burnout as well, because I would definitely never recommend that to teachers now. And that definitely changed once I had a family too.
Right.
I didn't want to do that anymore, but I kind of dreaded Sunday. I started to dread Sundays at the end of my career because I was like, okay, like I felt like Friday night I was exhausted from the week. I felt like Saturday I would go do something fun. And then I felt like Sunday I had to prepare for the week again. And I just felt like I was in this kind of vicious cycle at the end of those 12 years where I just, got really burnt out. And I would just, like I said, want to lay down when I got home. I was so mentally and
Mhm.
physically exhausted some days, and I would just get really sad about going back. Transitioning to a new career is always scary, but I always feel like for teachers, there's just a little bit of extra scariness because I feel like we've trained for this
Yep.
one skill set, one degree. It's not a business degree where we can feel like we can do all these things. And we prepared, our entire lives, our whole college career. And so if we want to continue down a new path or leave that path we thought we were going to be on forever, I absolutely thought I would retire in my 50s
Yes.
as a teacher.
I was
100% never thought I would ever go another way. Yeah.
um yeah, exactly. Like I feel as though, when we were younger, all your teachers were a lot, you had older teachers, so you knew that that was the job forever, right? And when you go into teaching, they don't even, and I actually, now that I'm thinking about this, they should really have this in teachers colleges. How can you move forward as a teacher? Like where's the growth? How could you, do a leadership course so that you have that skill in case you ever decide you want to go into admin, and then you could be a great admin instead of trying to figure out how to lead your team, but having no experience leading a team, right?
Exactly.
So I think, yeah, that I completely agree with you with teachers. I think I wish we had more opportunities to understand that we can grow as people and as teachers.
Yes. And we have so many transferable skills that I've learned
Yes.
that now in these last 4 years, and I'm sure you have too, doing this now. But many people I talk with every day that are teaching and maybe want to change, they're like, oh, well, I just don't know what else to do. And so this is why lately, especially, teacher burnout is so high. It has been the last few years, and it's so sad because I want good teachers in the classroom because I have kids in school, but I
Right.
don't want teachers in the classroom that are miserable and don't want to be there and don't feel supported and are stressed out all the time. So that's why I have felt such a strong calling lately to, now that I know what I know these last
Right.
4 years leaving, to help other teachers just realize that there are so many other things you can do. Teaching doesn't have to be the end all be all for you. And you really do have a lot of transferable skills. And even just like being in the freelancing world now, like I had no idea what a huge world of freelancers there were out there. I just feel like you're in such a bubble when you're in the classroom. You're just not thinking about much else going on?
Yeah, definitely. Which leads me to my next question, because you decided to go into the virtual assistant space, which is so interesting. So why did you choose kind of that niche instead of somewhere else?
Yeah, great question. So first, I feel like I really had the desire to work from home, have more flexibility in my schedule. I felt like when I used to say that even 4 years ago, I feel like society, and maybe it's just me, but maybe you agree, thinks that teachers do have flexibility. Like, oh my gosh, well, you get a, 2-week Christmas break, you have every holiday, you have 6 to 8 weeks in summer, or whatever it is for your district.
Mhm.
But I felt like it was so hard to manage just a typical month of like, okay, I need to schedule a dentist appointment, or my child was sick and I couldn't do that. I never felt like I could always do that during work hours or take off. And there's just such guilt when you took off and such planning that went into it, especially in my position when I'm asking a substitute to come in and teach kids with sometimes really severe behaviors that they might not be used to if they're just a random substitute for the district.
Mhm.
Or, they're supposed to be teaching all these different lessons all day for all these different levels of students. So flexibility was a big thing to me. Like I remember thinking like, I just want to make as silly as it sounds, like I just want to make a dentist appointment at 10 a.m. on a
Yeah.
Tuesday if I want and like
Yeah.
not feel bad about it and like
Yeah.
work before and then like go back to work after. And it's not like this huge thing where I have to take like a whole half day, or a whole day off. Um, Besides that, I just wanted simple things like a less rigid schedule, like I said, work from home. And then the biggest thing was I just really wanted more time with my kids and to be a more present mom. So at this point, I had just my daughter. So she was 2.5. And like I said, when I would get home, I mean, I was spending more time with other people's kids than my own. At that age, she was going to bed so early. I would pick her up from school and we'd have about 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. together by the time I picked her up from school because we didn't get out till 4 o'clock. Our school didn't. So by the time we picked up from daycare and got home,
Yeah.
and then just do it all again the next day. And then I felt like, we had Saturdays and that was it. And I hated it. I mean, I really wanted like part-time hours, but I knew I couldn't do part-time income. So I wanted to be just less stressed and genuinely just like going to work again and not feel like it was this huge thing every Sunday. So when the pandemic hit, I knew like while I was at home, even though I was teaching, I had extra time to kind of just figure this out because I knew at that point in March of 2020 that I couldn't do this forever. I was just way too anxious and way too stressed by that point. And so I had come across a woman and her Facebook group, and she was talking about becoming a virtual assistant and why it was so great for moms. And for those in your audience who don't know what a virtual assistant is, they're also referred to as like a VA. And
Mhm.
so basically it means that you're working from a remote location and you provide like administrative work or creative or technical support to individuals like entrepreneurs or small business owners. And you just support them in their business in anything that they need help with. So you're doing it remotely. So you just need a computer, you need your Wi-Fi, and they can help with different tasks for a business. So like scheduling appointments, managing email inbox, keeping track of their bookkeeping every month, managing their calendar, designing brochures, writing emails for them, even setting up
Yeah.
websites, graphic design for social media, doing research on different things, even like podcast management these days. I mean, there's so many things you can do because business owners don't have time to do everything themselves. There's only so much time in a day, as we all know. And so there's certain things that they don't like to do either. So hiring a virtual assistant for them means that they get help with the things that they need. And they're not having to pay for you to have an office space, which helps them. And they're not having to
Right.
pay you insurance. So you're a 1099 contractor. So there's a lot of positive aspects for business owners hiring virtual assistants.
So I just want to ask you quickly, was the first step, like the first thing that you did going onto Facebook and looking for virtual assistant groups, or what were you searching for?
No, I don't think I was. It's so funny because I don't necessarily exactly remember now, but I'm sure I had Googled or typed into Facebook. I don't remember which one, but I'm sure I searched a lot for like ways to work from home or ways to
Right.
get, how do I leave teaching? What else can a teacher do? And then I'm sure I was targeted with ads for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
I'm sure. And so, yeah. And so when I found
Okay.
this
Makes sense.
person and I learned what a virtual assistant is, and she had this whole group of moms. And
Okay.
so her motto was like I'm the free mama. You can be the free mama. Like you can be a mom and you can be working and making income for your family like we all want to do. Like we're not like a stay-at-home mom, but a working mom and we can do it on our own time. And all I needed was a computer and Wi-Fi. So when I learned that like this whole world was out there, my mind was blown and I just got really excited because I felt like it was exactly what I'd been looking for. And so I
Right.
just researched every free moment I had. So that was like March of 2020. And then I worked on my virtual assistant business that whole summer instead of like, going to the pool all the time and stuff. Like I worked.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
so
still a
that,
business, right? Like now you sort of have to transition into that business mind. Um,
yeah.
and but there's so much out there, thankfully, that you can use to learn what to do. And I'm curious, like, did you start off having sort of I'm gonna do, did you have a list of things that you would do, and has that changed over time?
That's totally changed over time. Because when you start off, you don't know what you're going to want to do as a virtual assistant.
Right.
So I always tell people that I'm helping now, teachers that I'm helping, like start off as like a general virtual assistant and kind of see what you like to do. If you're not sure, some people might come in like knowing, like, okay, like I, love creating content for Instagram. Like I want to help a business with their social media or something like that. And I kind of knew like I liked that. I knew I liked writing. There was like a handful of things I started with.
Okay.
And then quickly I realized that like writing was my niche area. Like I've always liked English language arts. Like I've always been good at, catching just any grammar mistakes, like proofreading.
Yeah.
I liked like the researching aspect of finding information that would go into articles. So I quickly started writing blog posts for education companies. And I didn't even
Okay.
know that companies would hire you to do that at the time. Like I just didn't even know that was a possibility. So it was really cool to find that out that I could get hired for that and to help this company in this way. And then, down the road, I've learned so much over time. Like when I started doing that, I didn't know what SEO was. And I'm sure
Yep.
a lot of people in your audience don't, search engine optimization. And now I consider myself like a search engine optimization, specialist, content writer. I know how to look for keywords people are searching for. So definitely where I started and like where I am now are very, very, very different for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I know I'm the same. And I always try to learn a little bit more about, my business every day. I'm learning more and more and more so that I can be great and help as many people as possible, right? So it's I think it's such a powerful, like, you become so much more aware of your strengths and who you are as a person, which I really love. Um,
Yes.
so if someone listening wants to get started as a virtual assistant, Christina, like what is the first step that they can take? Like what would you recommend?
Yeah. So, what I always recommend, because I feel like people always think it's overwhelming, first of all, to hear something new, hear a
Yeah.
term like virtual assistant you've never heard of. And I was the same way. I was like, wait, what is this? I don't believe this is real. Like, people aren't really doing this, but I promise you it's real and people are doing it. And another thing I always hear is people think that it's like a techie term, like you have to be like a tech person. And I think my husband will be the first to tell you, like, I'm not tech savvy at all. So don't think that you have to be techie to be a virtual assistant because that's not the case at all. Like I just said,
Yeah.
there's so many different things you can do, and I do more writing for clients. So the first thing that I like to tell teachers to do is to just make a list of like your current strengths that you have as a teacher. And so, like, if you're super organized as a teacher, then maybe you're going to be really good at, managing someone's email inbox and getting it all organized for them, or organizing their Google Drive for a business owner. If you're a great communicator, then maybe you might be really great at helping a business respond to customers' emails, or calling customers or clients that they need help with, helping in a Facebook group, moderate that, those kinds of things.
Video editing, if you've happened, I
Yeah.
mean, that happens to be in your wheelhouse, like,
Yes, exactly. Like if you're really creative and you make
yeah,
like super cute anchor charts in your room, like you might be really good with a design program called Canva, and you might be really good at helping, people create really awesome brochures or social media images. If you love to write newsletters and like you're the person that does that in your grade level, like you might be a good content writer. Like I said, if you're really good at grammar mistakes, companies hire proofreaders all the time on a contract basis to proofread all of their content for them before it goes out. So that's what I always encourage people to do.
yeah,
Like
good
make a
advice.
list of your strengths,
Yeah.
and then that's when you can start narrowing it down from there. And then just literally you have to start talking to people. Like you have to start telling people that you're doing it. Like you don't have to go take some crazy class or some crazy course. Like you don't even have to go sign up for like your LLC yet. I don't want to freak people out with that term because I didn't even know what that was, but I did not start with any of that yet. Like I
Yeah,
just
same.
figured out what I was going to do, and then I started telling people. And the biggest lesson I've learned is if you don't talk to people, then no one will know who you're serving. So you won't be able to find those people that you're supposed to help. And even if you're in the classroom and you don't want people to think that you're trying to leave or something like that, you can just tell people like, hey, I'm starting to do this on the side, just
Yeah,
extra money. People always know that teachers, are doing different jobs because we just
absolutely.
don't make enough. So, and then you can do it before work or after work, or at night when your kids go to bed. So that's the great part of the virtual assistant world and the freelancing world is as long as your clients don't care about like, oh, you need to be, available to me between 8 and 10 a.m., which
Right.
I've never had a client say that. It depends what you're doing for them, but you can do that work on your time when you need to.
And I think
So
like with speaking to people too, for those teachers who are like, oh, but it's very daunting to go out there and speak to people because they might, tell you, oh, you're not going to make it or whatever. Like you have those limiting beliefs in your mind, right? Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Like the first few, it's going to be tough, but like the more you do it, the easier it will get and your confidence will grow.
true, so true. Like I remember when I got on my first potential call, like a Zoom call with my first client that was maybe going to hire me. And I was so nervous. Like I was petrified. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And now it's like nothing. You don't think twice about it. You just have to start going and doing it. It's just like teaching. It's just like any job or anything in life. Like you're not going to be perfect or great at it from day one. No one's
Right.
like an amazing teacher on day one. You learn so much just by doing and you get better and better. So yeah. And talking about like those steps, I do have like a little cheat sheet that I give to teachers that want to learn more about becoming a virtual assistant. That's free. It's called like From Classroom to Clients, and it's how to start your virtual assistant business in 7 days. So I just give you simple steps that you can do if you want to go down this path.
Amazing. Oh yeah, we'll put that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Cool. And where else, so where would you where can people find you online, like if they wanted to contact you or had questions or something?
Yeah. So I'm at christinasue.com. And then on Instagram, I'm at It's Christina Sue. I have a free Facebook group for teachers that are maybe looking for a transition. So you can message me on Instagram and I'll give you that link, or we can put the link in the show notes. But it's
Yeah,
Burnt
definitely.
Out to Boss Teacher Community.
What's it
So
called, sorry?
Burnt Out to Boss Teacher Community.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Fantastic. Love the alliteration. Oh, that's great. Sorry, anything else? Any other places? Is
Nope.
that good? Okay, awesome. And are there any books that you recommend for personal or professional development that you like?
Ooh, yes. I feel like I have become a much more avid reader over the last 4 years. That's something I was really missing when I was teaching too, because I, growing up, used to love reading, and then I
Yeah.
felt like I never had time for it anymore. Um, but I like to read or like listen to the audiobook or even podcasts now. So, books, like I love the book Atomic Habits.
Oh, I'm
Um,
reading that right now.
are you? That's such a good one. Amy Porterfield, I love her. She's a marketing expert, and she has a book called 2 Weeks Notice that she just put out last year, which is a really good read. I
Okay.
love the book. I can't remember who it's by, but it's called You Are a Badass, which I feel
Oh,
like
that's Jen Sincero.
that's it. That's it. So good. And then another one I really love is The 4 Hour Work Week. That was
Oh
really
yeah.
an interesting one as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah, the 4 hour work that Tim Ferriss. Yeah, that's definitely a game changer. I think that one also helps with your mindset and all like just the way that you're thinking and as you move forward and understanding that really anybody can do this. You know,
Yeah.
you can do this. You just got to take those few steps to believe in yourself and can be done. We are perfect examples.
So true. Mindset is like such a huge part of this. And
Yeah,
that's what I've learned so much these last few years, leaving teaching and trying something new and being in the entrepreneurial world and
yeah,
owning your own business. It's literally like 1,000% mindset. And you can learn the skills, but you have to have the mindset or you're just not going to go anywhere with it. I honestly have so many days where I still struggle with mindset even after 4 years in. So like things that'll like help me get back on track if I need to is I like to journal every morning. Just like write down 3 things that I'm grateful for and like listen to. I'm really just such a podcast junkie these days. So listen to some motivational podcasts. Like I love Amy Porterfield. She always has such good online marketing business advice. Jenna Kutcher, who I'm sure we all know, Goal Digger is such a good one. And then there's one that's really good for mindset called Empower Her by Keisha Getmari.
okay,
And I feel like she just always tells you like those things that you need to hear as a business owner. Like basically the gist is just keep going, just keep pushing through because when you own your own business, it's so different because you don't have a boss telling you like, hey, you're
exactly.
doing a good job, keep going. Like you have to tell yourself that. So mindset is the biggest thing for sure when you're owning your own business.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same. You know, I'll either journal or I like listening to Regan Hillier because she talks so much. She's like one of the best mindset coaches in the
Oh, I'm gonna have
world.
to look her
And
up.
yeah, she's incredible. And she's got fantastic energy. So when I listen to her, I feel more motivated and more positive. Because it happens to everybody. Your mind can get the better of you, and just don't give in. Just be like, the next hour is another hour. Like the next day is another day, right? Everything can come back to where it is, and you can still move that needle forward. That one, grow as atomic habits, right? 1%
Yes.
better.
Make those small little changes that become habits.
That's
Yes.
it. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
When I look back now,
Um,
like I can't even think I can't even believe it was 4 years ago. I can't believe I've been in this world for 4 years now. But yeah, you just keep pushing and keep growing and you're always growing as a person. So
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, don't ever feel like you have to be stagnant. I think that is key. What is one piece of advice you would give yourself as a first year teacher for all the first year teachers listening?
oh, that's a good one. Knowing what I know now, I would definitely tell first year teachers that teaching is not your identity. You can be a great teacher, you can do amazing things for your students, but you are still so much more than a teacher. I feel like that's the
Nice.
biggest lesson that I've learned because I feel like all my years of teaching, like I definitely felt like it was my identity. I think I still do a little bit. Like I still just resonate with that world so much, but I know now like I'm just so much more than that and I think getting out of teaching like I've found things that I enjoy doing again. And I kind of forgot about some of those things for sure when I was teaching still.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's so, so, so true. And Christina, the last question, what three things are you grateful for today?
Okay, so the three things I'm grateful for is definitely time freedom, which I've talked about a lot during this. But just, making my own schedule each week, especially as a mom, around my family life has been a huge blessing to me. Taking trips when it works for my family. We don't have to, wait for summer break or a holiday anymore. And like I said, just, making a dentist appointment at 10 a.m. on a
Yeah.
Tuesday and I can work before it and work after it. So I love the time freedom aspect. And then next would be just having so much extra time with my kids while they've been little. Neither of my kids, once I started this, had to be in full-time daycare
Hmm.
once I began. So I had my daughter home with me 2 days a week. And then now I have my 3-year-old home with me 2 days a week right now. And I just feel like as a mom, that's the biggest blessing because I know
Right.
I'll never get this time back. And I can take my daughter to school and I pick her up. If I want to take her lunch up to school, I can. If I want to go volunteer, I can. And it's not like a big hassle that I have to, ask off for those things. And then last, I would say I'm just really grateful that my mental health is in a good place because it
Yeah.
wasn't at the end of my teaching career. And that's really sad to say. And that's not always the case for everyone. But, I don't have those Sunday scary feelings anymore. I actually love Sundays now. It's like my favorite day of the week, and it used to be my least favorite day of the week. So that's crazy. I'm not feeling like the weeks are so short. I'm not counting down to every break. I'm not like living for summer vacation anymore and like feeling
Yeah.
like I can breathe again during summer. So I really love what I do right now and enjoy my life every day. And I just feel super blessed for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Christina, I'm so grateful for you for coming on the show today. And I really appreciate you for the impact that you are making in the lives of others, but also by coming on here, the impact that you'll make on, the lives of teachers who might be considering moving out of teaching and may not have an idea of where to go. I'm sure you've given them a lot of things to think about. And I'm so thankful for that. And I really wish you so much success and prosperity as you move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marissa. It was really a pleasure to be here and I appreciate you. Thank you.